Hi, I'm Anna Hunter, the Director of Learning and Development here at JobTread. I look forward to giving you a broad overview of JobTread today. So first, when we log on to JobTread, we're going to land on our home screen. Your home screen is going to have a lot of pertinent information about any active jobs or open documents that might need your attention. On the left-hand side, we have an activity feed of all your most recent activity across all your jobs in one place. Now on the top right, we have quick action tools. So we can clock in and out, we can upload a receipt, we also could submit a daily log, and we can view all of our notifications. On the left-hand side, you're going to notice the main navigation. This navigation is going to be used to access the most powerful tools here in JobTread. If you're on a mobile device or a smaller window, this toolbar will be across the bottom, but you'll have access to all the same tools. So let's start by heading into our customer directory. Here in your customer directory, this is where you can track all of your contacts as far as leads, active customers, or even past customers. Now, if we want to add a new contact to our directory, we can go ahead and click plus customer on the top right. Now I can give that customer an account name. So if it's a residential customer, it might be the name of the family. If it's more of a commercial customer, it may be the name of the business that you're working for. Or if you're working for a general contractor, you could just put your general contractor's name here. But we'll go ahead and add in the family name for a residential customer. So that will be the Doe family. And then we can add contacts within that overarching customer account. So I could have John Doe here. And we can give him a title. So in this case, he'll be a homeowner, and then I'll also add an email. Great, and now we can add in a phone number for him. All right, and then we'll add our location details. The location is the property or job site where you're probably going to be doing work. Now, each customer account can have multiple properties associated with them, but we're gonna enter the first one here. So this will be John's primary household. Great, we're going to select just an address from Google, and then we can click Create Customer. Now we're on the customer account, and this account can be used to track qualifying information about the customer. So we can take any notes about that customer. So we might say that they are looking for a kitchen remodel, and maybe that's going to be 200 square feet. Wonderful. I can then send that note, and that's going to be a note for my team. Additionally, on the right-hand side, I can then add additional contacts. So here we have John Doe as a part of the Doe family, but maybe we also want to add his partner, Jane. So we'll go ahead and click plus contact on the top here, and then we'll add in Jane Doe, and we'll give Jane a title as well. Maybe she's the other homeowner, and we can also give her an email. Great, and then Jane, of course, is gonna have a different cell phone number, so we gotta get that in there, and we'll click Create Contact. Now we have two contacts within this overarching customer account. All right, well then we can go back to our customer directory, and you'll see that we have two customers listed in our directory. Now imagine your customer directory kind of as your contacts in your phone. Now once we have qualified that customer, we've decided, yes, it does make sense to build out an estimate for them, then we'll go ahead and pop into our job directory here. Here in our job directory, we will see all the jobs associated with our customers. Now, some customers may have more than one job, and that's why we like tracking our jobs in the job directory. So I can click plus job on the top right, and that gives me the chance to choose an existing customer, or I can add a new customer and then add the customer and job in one fell swoop. But at this time, we've already added the Doe family, so let's go ahead and select them from our customer directory. Now we can enter the job details. So let's go ahead and add in a job description. So we'll say it's a complete kitchen remodel, and we will say replace all cast iron plumbing and ground all electrical. All right, now we'll head down and we can choose our price type. So what kind of job is this? Is it a fixed price job? Is it a cost plus job? Or maybe it's more of a spec home build and we don't have a customer quite yet. The price type is going to determine how your profits are tracked throughout the project. Now we can choose a status for this particular job. So we already maybe have done an appointment with them. We're gonna pop right into our estimating phase with this project. Now I can upload a cover photo. Your cover photo is also going to show on your customer and vendor portal. So I'm going to choose one here, and maybe it's a rendering of their dream kitchen. Perfect. Let's go ahead and create that job. Now we have our job dashboard. This job is job number 2, tied to the Doe family account, and then it's at this job site location. Now, once you're in a job, you're going to see plenty of information about that particular job. And so on our dashboard, we'll see that we have a financial summary that's showing us our basic financials for the project. We also have our job access list. This is a great list to then add your project team to. So I'm going to go ahead and add in a couple more users. So I'll click plus user, and I can choose to add in my internal users, even the customers to this project. And maybe I already know of a particular vendor I'd like to add, then I can definitely add them as well. So I'm going to go ahead and add them, and this is when their portals will be initiated. So at this time, each of them can receive an email inviting them to view their portal. Now you could always hold off on that, and they'll be invited to their portal as soon as you send them a document or a message. Well, in the center here, we have our activity feed for this project. I can also add in a message. Maybe I want to send a message to my team about the project. So I'm just going to copy and paste a good, healthy message in here. There we are, and I'm just sending it to my internal roles who are listed here on the left. So we'll then go ahead and click send. Now, when you're in a job, all the tabs across the top are related to that job specifically. So we can start using those tabs to move forward in the project. So I can head into my budget, and here's where I'll build out my budget for the project, but I'll also track my funds throughout the project. So as you'll notice, we have our estimating phase. But then when we scroll to the right, you'll see that we have our job costing phase. So this is where we'll track all of our expenses against our approved budget for the job. Even further, we have our invoicing phase. That's where we're tracking our receivables. And then of course, throughout the project, we can track our profits as well. So this is a beautiful financial life cycle to keep track of your numbers as the job progresses. We're going to focus here today on the estimating portion because we need to build out a budget for this job. Now we're going to build out the budget by either adding cost items or groups of items to our budget. When I click plus item here, I can go ahead and select an item from my catalog that I've already pre-saved in the catalog. That'll make a copy of the item for this particular job, and then I can adjust it as needed. Now I also can add in my own if I'd like, and here I can create a new cost item, and then I can enter in the item description, quantity, unit, and so on. Now let's go ahead and just pull a template that I've already created. So we're going to click plus group, and now we can add either small assembly groups or large budget templates that we've pre-saved in our catalog into our budget. So here I'm going to choose my kitchen remodel template, and you'll see it already has all of my items listed. So at this point, I can just add in my quantities and costs and adjust what I need to for this project. So here I'll add in some of the quantities. Great. And then of course, you'll even see that you can enter in some of your costs. So in this case, my plumbing materials and labor do not have a cost associated with them. That means I can send this in a bid request, or I can go ahead and just enter in the totals now. Great. All right. We also have a tile flooring item right here, and it's showing TBD. That means that I am referencing that item quantity from a parameter. So therefore, I can use a formula to inform this number, or I could even use my plans takeoff tool. So let's get that number filled in by uploading our plans to JobTread and doing on-screen takeoff. So I'm going to save my changes here, and now I'll go to the Plans tab. Here in my Plans tab, I can then upload a new plan. And you'll notice that when I do, I can then scale the plan. All right, we'll go ahead and use a preset scale here. Perfect. And now I want to measure the flooring for this particular kitchen. So we'll zoom in a little. Wonderful. And now I'll add in a new parameter, a place to store that number. And I want to use the area. Here, I'll call this flooring, and then I'll add a measurement within. So now I can choose the rectangle tool, and I can go ahead and just measure the entire area that I need for flooring. Now I have my square footage saved, so I'll stop that measurement, save those measurements, and then I'll head back to my budget, and we will see that within the flooring item, it has now populated the number of square feet that I need for flooring for this project. Now, if you'd like to learn more about how to set up your parameters so you can use on-screen takeoff, definitely check out one of our on-screen takeoff or formula videos later on. All right, wonderful. Well, now that we have set up all of our numbers, our quantities, costs, and margins for all of these items, we can go ahead and send a proposal. So this plus document tool on the top right is one that you're going to get very familiar with. Here is where we can initiate any type of document within JobTread to send to a vendor or a customer. So let's walk through these different document types real quick. We have our bid requests where we can collect amounts from our vendors. We simply set up a document, send it to our vendors, they then can enter in the totals and send it back. We also have our customer orders. Those establish a contract between you and your customers. Then we have our customer invoices where you can send an invoice to collect funds back from the customer. And then of course we have our vendor orders. These could be things like your purchase orders, but essentially they are a contract between you and your vendor to commit funds to pay them out when they do the job and do it well. And then finally, we have our vendor bills where you are tracking any actual expenses or payable expenses for your vendors. We're going to go ahead and choose our proposal document here. Now the system is asking which items from your budget do you want to include on that proposal. We're going to go ahead and select everything and click Create. Here's our proposal. Now on our documents, we can click to edit almost every detail on the document itself. We also have our items that we've chosen to pull from our budget onto the document. Now you're also going to notice little icons throughout every document. This is where you can show or hide different levels of information on each of your documents. Down below, we also have an area where you can add in your terms and conditions or all of your contract language. So let's go ahead and add in those terms. Great. Now, maybe I want to label this terms and conditions. And I might want to make this a bold header, and then I can even add in bullets here for each of my items. And when I hit preview, you'll see those formatting changes apply. On the right-hand side, you have a lot of setting options for your document. Now, one that I'd like to point out is show cost and fees. So if you do cost plus projects, you might want to turn this on, and therefore you're showing the cost of the project separate from your profits for your customer. All right. And then finally, we have the design section. This is where you can choose to add a cover page template to your document. So I'll go ahead and select a cover page here, and this will automatically pull in my cover photo from my job. You can choose different templates that you'd like to then display your document in a more exciting way to your customer. And of course, you can edit all of the text that's on that cover page. And let's say that you have your own branding and your own cover page. You can also upload your own PDF documents before or after the JobTread proposal here as well. All right, we'll hit save, and now we can go ahead and send this off. Let's send it over to our customer, and maybe we also want to send it to both customers, so we'll hit send. Now they will receive this in their email, and they can then click the link in their email. It'll open up the document and they can sign away. Congratulations, we have just sold a job together. When we head back to our budget, you will notice that we have our budgeted costs for the project, and now we can move forward with our job costing and tracking all of our expenses. Here in our Documents tab within the job, you are going to see any documents that you create, and so therefore you can keep them nice and organized. In selections, you can choose to add in selections either within allowances or without allowances, and those selections will then be available for your customer to choose. So let's go ahead and choose a selection package here that I have already created, and now we can have selection choices for our customer. In specifications, you'll see that anything that you'd like to push from your budget onto your job specifications can populate here. Your specifications provide the instruction manual for the people in the field. So you can edit any of these items, and then of course we can create a QR code or a link to send out to the people in the field, and then they have exactly what they need to do to build that project. We also have a schedule. Within our job schedule, we can view our schedule in a list view, Gantt view, month view, even week and day if you're scheduling by hour. Here is where you can add individual tasks or even task headers, and we'll go ahead and import one of our existing schedule templates. This way, if you have created a schedule in the past and you liked what you created, you don't have to rebuild it. Just go ahead and save it as a template and you can use it in the future. Your schedule also has dependencies, so therefore if you move your project dates around, all of your tasks can follow accordingly. We also have a to-dos tab. Here in the to-dos tab, you are able to have checklists or lists of items that you need to accomplish by a certain deadline that you don't really want on your job schedule. Again, you can add your to-do items and within groups, but in this case, we're just going to import a template that we already have. I'll go ahead and choose my job punch list. This is great for at the end of the project to walk through all of the punch list items on the project and make sure that everything is done and done well. Every single task or to-do also has all the details listed here and a full messaging tool so you can communicate on each one. We also have daily logs. Daily logs are used to track day-to-day progress. So we can create a new daily log on this job, and it will default with today's weather, and then we can add our job notes. So let me go ahead and copy some daily log text right here, make it nice and simple for us. And then I can also upload photos, files, and videos here. So I'm going to upload a photo. And now I can also add a photo tag. We're gonna say that this is an issue and click done. And now you'll see it here. Now, every single file also has the ability to do markup, so I can even point out the issue that we're experiencing over here and make that very clear to my team when I submit this daily log. Wonderful. Now we have time. All of your time entries that are tracked for this particular job will land here. Now, one of the benefits of JobTread is that whenever time is tracked per a specific job, you can also see that time in your budget in the job costing section. So you can track your real-time labor hours against your job budget. We also have files. Files is where we are going to be keeping track of all the files on the project. I can go ahead and add several files here. I can change the file names, add descriptions. I could even choose to apply tags or folders to the files. Let's select all of them and add tags to them. I'm going to show you one of the great benefits of file tags here very soon, but file tags allow you to really categorize your files and keep track of them. So let's go ahead and hit done, and we'll see them all listed here. You can view all your files in a list view or a grid view, and then of course every file has their own details. Right, we also have our messages tool within our job. So as you could see in several locations, you can add messages and communicate with other team members, but sometimes it gets difficult to track all those messages if you have to click into each source where the message is saved. So the messages tool is really beneficial because it pulls all your messages from everywhere within this job in one place so you can keep track of them all. And then finally, we have our reports tab, and this is where you're going to see the financial summary and all of your reports for this project. Now that we've gone through all that the individual job has to offer, let's look at other tools on our main navigation. Our main navigation is going to compile information from every single job in one place. So here, if I head into my messages center, this is going to show me all my messages from every single job in one location. I also have my schedule. This will show all tasks from every single schedule in JobTread in one place. So here's my incomplete tasks. I can switch this to see all the tasks on our calendar for our company and so on. We also have our to-dos section. This is showing me all of my to-dos from every single project in one spot. So now I can even see all of our to-dos across our entire company and keep track of them all nice and easily. Here's our time that is tracked across all of our jobs, and here you'll see Casey has logged several hours on another project, and it's listed here. We also, of course, have that jobs directory. Now, we spent a little bit of time on this job directory earlier, but I want to spend a bit more time on it. Anytime that you see a table like this in JobTread, it's customizable. So you can choose the columns that you're viewing, the way in which you're viewing them, all by clicking the gear icon. Here in the view settings, we can choose exactly which fields we're seeing. Those are your columns. You can also sort your data, And you can apply different filters to choose what's included or what's excluded from this table. Additionally, you can view all of your data in what's called a Kanban view. So if we click on the drop-down menu here and view our saved views, we have a pipeline. This is where we're seeing all of our jobs across our job statuses. Now, the benefit to a Kanban view is we can click and drag from one status to the next, and then we can keep track of all of our jobs in this nice visual display. Now, if you'd like to set up different views and maybe you'd like to collect information that's not one of our default fields, you have the ability to create custom fields, which will then inform this table as well. Whenever you want to collect information that's not a default in JobTread, you can head into your JobTread settings, and then we'll go to the Custom Fields tab. Here's where you can add additional fields of information to collect more details in various locations. Now, we have several suggested fields that you can add, so let's head down to the Jobs section. If I'd like to collect more information about my jobs, I can go ahead and add them in. So maybe I want to collect the job type. Great, I can even edit that to make sure that I have the different types that are relevant to my company. I can also track, let's say, our sales representatives, and now I can pop in there and change their names. All right, we'll do Travis and Riley, great. Update those, and now they're ready to go. So anytime that you add custom fields here in your JobTread account, you can then head back to that custom view directory, and now we can use those custom fields here. So I can click the gear icon again, and you'll notice in the fields section, those custom fields are going to be listed. Here they are. We have our job type and we have our sales rep. Now we can turn those on one at a time if we'd like to. All right, and then when we click apply, we can see a preview of our changes. So here on the far side, now we're viewing the job type and the sales rep for those projects. Now you also can group by those as well. So I can go to the details section and choose to group by a particular field. Maybe we want to group by our sales reps. Well, I can select this and then click apply. And at this point, neither of my jobs have a sales rep listed, but let's go ahead and change that. I'm going to click save as, save this as a new view for myself. So I'll say jobs by sales rep. Great. And now I can go to each of those jobs and assign a sales rep to each. We have the fields listed here now. So I'm going to say that Travis was the sales rep for this one. And then we'll head back to our jobs directory and we will choose the other. Okay, this one we will say that Riley was the sales rep for that. All right, now when we head back to our job directory and now we can see our saved custom view, you will now see that your jobs are listed by sales rep or grouped by sales rep. Now I can click that gear icon once again, and maybe I want to see that in a Kanban view, that visual display. I can then change the view to Kanban and click apply, and now I can see my jobs by sales rep listed in this type of a display. Now, custom views can be whatever you choose for them to be, and so really the sky's the limit. I encourage you to hop into JobTread and click that gear icon and just start playing with the options that you have available. When you find something you like, click the Save As button, and now you can save that view and return to it whenever you'd like. Now, your custom views can also be found in several other tools, but let's head into our daily logs here. Your daily logs tool from your main navigation is going to show you all your daily logs from every project in one place. We also have our documents. Here are all your documents from every project in one place. This is especially helpful if you just needed to see all those open invoices that you need to collect on, or maybe you needed to see just the payable bills. And of course, you can set up your different custom views here too to see different document types and different statuses as you need. We also have our catalog. Your catalog is one of the most important and most robust tools here in JobTread. This is going to show all of your cost items that you have saved in your catalog, and now you can use them for future projects. And then we have our cost groups as well, and this is where we are grouping all of those items into our budget templates. Now, anytime that you'd like to add cost items or groups to your JobTread account, you can do so in multiple ways. One is by individually adding cost items one by one, and then also grouping them into cost groups manually. Another option is to do an import. If you'd like to import your cost items and cost groups, then go ahead and watch this video here. You can download the template, dump your data into that CSV file, and then you are good to go. Another option is using our global catalog. The global catalog is going to be giving you the choice to select items from a supplier that we have as a partner. Additionally, we have several JobTread templates, so if you are looking for a particular template for your industry, then check out these templates and choose exactly what you'd like to add to your catalog. And then lastly, we have our web clipper tool. Your web clipper tool is going to allow you to create a bookmark on your web browser, and now you can go to another website like build.com or Home Depot, and then you can clip specific items directly from those web pages into JobTread, and it will land in your catalog. Your catalog also has your schedule templates as well as your to-do templates. Now, we already mentioned your customer directory earlier. Those are simply your contacts in your phone, and same thing with your vendors. Your vendors are set up in a very similar structure where you have a vendor account name and then you have individual contacts within that account. The vendor accounts are a great place to store any of your insurance documentation or any of your paperwork with that vendor. You can drop them right into the vendor files. We also have the files section, and this is going to pull every file from JobTread in one place. Now, this is where file tags are especially beneficial. You're going to notice that I have all my files from my 2 jobs listed here, and they are all listed with file tags. Now we can go ahead and we can choose exactly what type of files we want to see by using those tags as filters. So if I just wanted to see my in progress files, I can click on that tag and you'll see them listed here. Now, whenever you want to edit your file tags, you're going to go up to the top right and you can edit all your file tags. Those file tags can also release files to certain people by adding that tag to that file. Now, you can have up to 100 different file tags, so you can get very creative and have fun in your organizing. Lastly, we have our reports section here, and this is going to show you all of the quick exports that you have with your JobTread data, and then you can see additional reports throughout JobTread. And then finally, we have our settings. Your settings is where you're going to set up your global settings for your entire organization here within the system. So the general section is where you can upload your logo. You can also choose your colors, and one quick tip here is you can select the color and then choose that dropper and choose the color directly from your logo. That'll help you out. We also have several additional job settings. So I encourage you to go through every setting, make sure that you set up your JobTread organization to match your business needs. One of those that I'd like to point out here is the scheduling section. Right now, we are assuming that we are working every day of the week. Well, in my world, I'm going to remove Saturday and Sunday from that so that when I'm scheduling, I'm not accidentally scheduling over those dates. We also have our Members tab. The Members tab is where you're going to enter in all of your internal users. You can choose the rates for those users for their time clock, and then you can change their roles as well. Well, now let's talk about roles. Within the Roles tab, we can set up different roles for our users. So if I wanted to create a role for my field employees, now I can choose if I give them full admin access and choose all of the specific permissions for them, as well as their notification settings. Once I create that role, I can head back to the Members tab and I can assign one of my team members to that role. And now their access in JobTread is limited to those permissions. You also can assign different roles for your customers and your vendors and choose their level of access in their portal. The Notifications tab is where you're going to set up your standard notifications for your users, as well as create any additional custom notifications that you'd like. And then we have our document templates. Your document templates are a really great tool to help you not have to reinvent the wheel every time that you create a new document. So here we created a proposal earlier and we had to add in our terms and conditions and such. Well, here in your document templates, you can add all of those document settings, and then they will be applied to every document you create in the future. So I can go into my proposal, I can edit the document name. Maybe I call it more of a quote or an estimate. I can then change that here. I also can add in my broad proposal details if I'd like, and then in that footer is where we can add in the terms and conditions once again. And just remember, when you add them here, then they will carry over to every document that you create using this template. So here I can make it bold and I can add in bullets for those items, and you're going to see a preview of what that document might look like next to it. Here I can even add in an email message that will be the default email message that we send to our customers whenever we send this proposal document. And then furthermore, you can choose the settings for the document as well. So I recommend going into each document template and make sure that it matches your business needs. We also have our job costing tab. Here in the job costing tab, this is where you're going to set up your defaults for your cost items and all of your budgets. So I have my default units of measurement that I typically use. You can delete what you don't need, add additional units that you do need. We also have our cost types. Your cost types are going to apply certain defaults to your cost items based on the type. So if I have an electrical labor cost item and I add this labor cost type, that's going to default the item to a 30% margin, and then it will make it time trackable so my employees can clock in and out of it, and in this case, not taxable. Now I encourage you to at least get in here and adjust the margins to match your business needs. Then you have your cost codes. Your cost codes are your back-end accounting codes. So if you're using QuickBooks Online, these will be your products and services, and they have to match perfectly. If you're not using QuickBooks Online, don't worry, you can add your own set of cost codes here. You can add them either through an import, you can add them one by one at the bottom, or you can send them to your Success Manager and they can add them for you. We also have the Custom Fields tab, which we discussed earlier, and then we have our web forms. Your web forms give you the ability to create a new form that goes on your website for new leads to fill out. So I could call this my new lead form. And now I have the option to copy the hosted link, which would then be an individual web page that this form is landed on. And then you can put that link in your social media on a QR code, or you can just link to it from your website. The other option is to copy your embed code, which would then allow you to embed that coding in the back end of your website so the form is living on your web pages. Then we have our integrations tab. We have plenty of integration partners, so definitely explore those integrations. And then we also have our marketplace, which is showing you all of our partners here at JobTread, and we have several. And so if you're looking to kind of build out that technology ecosystem or your team of supporters with coaches and accountants, then definitely check out the marketplace and explore. Lastly, in our settings, we have the billing page, and this is where you're going to see all of your billing information for JobTread. Now, as always, you have help available for you. So in your JobTread help desk access from your main navigation, you'll see that we have tons of resources available to you, so you can always stay on top of your JobTread learning and make sure that you fully understand the tool. Every JobTread user has their own dedicated customer success manager, and they will be listed on the top right of your help desk. That person will be your coach or your consultant as you move through JobTread, and they will remain your point of contact here at JobTread. We also have our support team that is available 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, coast to coast, and they are also available and ready to help whenever you need it. Thank you so much for being a part of the JobTread community. We are so excited that you're here, and we hope that you take advantage of all of the learning opportunities and resources available to you so you can maximize your use of the system.